interesting piece by Harmon Leon over at Alternet. I think it originated on Raw's Story. Titled, "Here are 8 white people who pointed guns at police officers and didn't get killed." This whole idea of white privilege in this society is one. I realize, Fox News and Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly and all, there's no such thing as white privilege and blah de blah, which is crap, frankly. White and I've explained this on this program a number of times, but I think it's worth just briefly anyway visiting again for those white people who don't know what we're talking about and who have been misinformed, shall we say, by Fox so-called news and right-wing hate radio. The biggest piece of white privilege, the way O'Reilly portrays it is like, white privilege must mean something like, I think I'll go out and get a job that a black guy can't get, or something like that. No. There is that. But the biggest part of white privilege is not having to think about race. Most white people go through most of their lives without thinking about their race. They don't wake up thinking, gee, I wonder how the color of my skin is going to influence my day. They don't go to job interviews wondering, hey, I wonder how the color of my skin is going to influence this job interview. They don't go looking for an apartment or a house to buy wondering, how is the color of my skin going to influence this? They don't go to the supermarket or the stores or the shopping mall wondering, how is the color of my skin going to influence how I'm going to be treated or if I'm going to be followed? They don't drive down the street worrying that because of the color of their skin, that they will not only be stopped by the police far more frequently than others, but that they might be killed by the police. It's the subtle stuff. It's the really subtle. See, as we go through our lives, it's like the stuff that builds up PTSD, the stuff that builds up, hypersensitivity, the stuff that builds up a reactivity, for lack of a better word, that beats people down, is the stuff that happens in little tiny ways over and over and over again, day after day after day, until it reaches the point where you can't even tell when it's being done intentionally or not. And because you just don't know, it's like, my brother and his wife and son were in town over the weekend, and we were playing tourist on Saturday or Sunday, and Ford's Theater and someplace else, and walked into a line, or got in a line. There was like a couple of different groups that were forming one line, and I stepped in front of a black person thinking that was my place in line. And when I turned around and looked, I could tell from the look on their face, it was like, oh, you think you're the white boy, you get to, and I get it. Because that's been that person's life experience. I think I'm fairly sensitive to this stuff, but, I'm still white. I'm the beneficiary of white privilege. And so are most of you listening or watching to this program. And we need to own that, and we need to fix a society that rewards that, so that we all have privilege, so that we have American privilege, so that we're all part of this society. And I realize that's starting to sound, the danger with that is, the Stephen Colbert used to joke about it, but trying to pretend he was Bill O'Reilly. I don't see color. Right. So this piece over at Raw's Story that was reprinted on Alternet by Harmon Leon. Last May, an armed Michigan man had a standoff with the police as he stood in front of a Dairy Queen, waving a loaded rifle around and shouting angrily. When the cops arrived, the man, Joseph Hausman, refused to identify himself, grabbed his crotch, flipped the bird, and cursed them out. Hausman was intoxicated and did not have ID. For 40 minutes, the police tried to get him to put his weapon down. 40 minutes, this guy is pointing his gun at the cops. All the while he was screaming, "The revolution is coming," and accusing the cops of being a gang. He told the police he had a legal right to threaten police officers and their families. When Hausman refused a breathalyzer test, officers decided not to give him back his gun. They finally, after 40 minutes, got his gun away from him. Instead, he was told to come to the police station and claim it the next day. He did, and the next day his gun was safely returned to him. Isn't that sweet? In August, a San Diego man got out of his parked car with a loaded 9mm pistol and proceeded to point it at police officers and small children who were playing in a local park. The police proceeded to spend the next hour trying to talk the man, Lance Tamayo, into putting down his weapon. As terrified children were forced to hide in the bathroom, Tamayo rushed toward the officers with his weapon pointed at them and a police helicopter overhead. Police then called Tamayo on his cell phone and spoke with him for 15 minutes before he agreed to surrender. He was a white guy. Now, he did get shot once in the stomach. But even when he fell to the ground, the gun remained within his reach. He was arrested and charged with exhibiting a firearm in the presence of police officers. He was not killed. In October, a Tennessee man was arrested for waving a loaded gun during a road rage incident involving another man and his son. E.J. Watson confronted the pair when they came to a stop, exited his vehicle, and his pistol tucked in front of his pants, very belligerent, cursing, making derogatory remarks. The victims called 911. Police pulled Watson over a few miles from the gun-wielding episode. His car was littered with empty beer cans, as well as a loaded Smith & Wesson revolver. Watson refused to exit his vehicle and had to be physically removed. Only 3 months earlier, he had been arrested in a separate drunken road rage incident. He was a white guy. 22-year-old from New Hampshire faces one count of reckless conduct after firing a BB gun at Concord police. Concord is the capital of the state of New Hampshire. In September, the two police officers were making a routine traffic stop at an intersection when a man opened fire from a nearby apartment building. The judge residing over the case commented that he worried about the white guy's safety. No, he was not killed. He was just shooting a BB gun. You know, like the one Tamir Rice had? Two Idaho men were taken into custody after shooting up a Walmart with a BB gun. Both were intoxicated. They walked into the Post Falls Walmart and proceeded to remove BB guns from boxes before loading one and firing it 4 times while in the store. The two white guys were taken into custody without incident. Although on August 5th, John Crawford III was shopping in a Dayton Walmart, Dayton, Ohio. He picked a BB rifle off the shelf in the sporting goods section. Police ran in, shot, and killed him. Just this month, Pennsylvania State Police arrested a man after he reportedly pulled a gun on officers. Jed Frazier had driven his car off the road into a ditch. When police approached the vehicle, the man pulled a handgun from his coat pocket and pointed it at the police. Officers took shelter and talked him into dropping his loaded weapon. Guess what his race was? White guy.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.